The next most important place for you to go is the brains of the translations department, really. This is called the 2021 Master Translations Tracking, and it lives in Google Sheets. I have provided the link for you here. I've named it the brain of the translations department. You don't need a login or a password. Um, so this is where all of the translations we worked on and all of the new translations coming in for this year are going to live. And you can see down here that there's a pricing guide. And these are the list of prices, how much a translator gets paid when we take on a Solidarity client, the payment to the reviewer, the profit to Sensontle. Really, it's not profit, but I should rename it payment to Sensontle because it's, we still have overhead to cover. And then what clients it applies to. These are not set in stone, but just, you can see that these are Solidarity clients from interpretation work. These are basically anybody else, all new clients and anybody else who's not these clients up here. Standard rate is what we call it. It's 18 cents a word. 10 cents per word goes to the translator, 2 goes to the reviewer, and you can see here that the co-op makes 2 extra cents on standard versus Solidarity. So translators and reviewers get paid the same, and the only real difference between Solidarity and standard is to the co-op. So rush jobs are anything that comes in that needs a 24-hour turnaround for every 1,000 words in the document. And so rush rates basically apply to anything that client wants within 5 business days that is 1,000 words or less. It's really discretionary on how we apply this rush charge. Like if there's a request that comes in for 200 words due in 3 days and it's for Highlander or Sima or La Milpa or Poderema, then we don't really charge the rush rate. Rocio had that discretionary for her. And then I'll let you take a look at these as well. We don't provide services that say service unavailable, and then how much we charge to the client, pay to the translator, pay to the reviewer or notary, depending on whether they want the document notarized or not, and then the profit to Sensontle. Then the next tab is aggregated data. This is, you can see here how many words we translated each month. I started working on this and I will finish that before the week is out. We see how many Solidarity words we translated per month. We'll see how many regular words and how many rush words we translated. And then it'll tell you how many total words, again, we've got for the year once I'm done up to September. This is a blank template. Anytime you start a new month, you need a blank template. Right now, I think we've got it all the way up to October. So we already have the October populated for the month, but the blank template really is where everything lives. This is for Becky to worry about. But so don't worry about column A. But this right here, this information, if we have a new client, we need to put the email of the person who's going to be billed. Then we have status for the job, and I'll come back to that because this also has to do with bookkeeping. But then here, we need you to enter the client that requested the translation. And client, it's really not the person who requested it, but the organization that they requested it for. The contact name is the person who actually requested the translation. And then the rate is going to be Solidarity, which is 16 cents. Standard, which is 18, or Rush, which is 21, and that's the information that comes from here. Solidarity, Standard, and Rush. Then we have the unique ID. As we talked about before, Wufoo generates a unique ID by creating the letter T and the number of the request form that was filled. Then you'll put the document name down, how many words the document was, when the request came in, and when the client wants it back. You'll leave turned in blank when you're populating this information. And then, because what you'll do is you'll come back once you've turned it in and you'll turn it and you'll put the date in. Hopefully these dates match, unless there's something that went wrong. A translator didn't turn into work in on time, or a reviewer, or something else happened. Or if you turned it in early, you can do that too. Then this is really where your day-to-day begins, your translation status. Sometimes a client wants an estimate, so you get the request, you populate it into here, and you mark it as a 0. You've sent the estimate to the client and we're waiting on a response from them. Or there are times where the client doesn't really need an estimate, but you don't have a chance to actually upload the document to MemSource, so you'll just must upload to MemSource. You mark it with that status. Or you've uploaded it to MemSource, but you really haven't assigned it to anybody yet. You can, say this is already in MemSource, but it's unassigned. Or you've already assigned it, and now it's being worked on by translator and reviewer. So you can mark in progress. And actually, I'll talk to you about the colors here pretty soon. Or the request has been completed already, and all you're waiting to do is to deliver it to the client, and you mark it as completed. Or you've delivered it, and the date here for turned in is earlier than the due date or the due date, in which case you would mark it as delivered on time. Or the turned in date is later than the due date, and then you would mark it as delivered late. So you'll see that this changes colors according to what status you select. And this is just so that when you have 25 requests on the screen, you're able to differentiate by colors, and you can group them by colors by using the filter function here. And so this is really where, like I said, the day-to-day works. You can really keep track of things as they come in, keep track of things as they're waiting for action on your part, keep track of things that you're waiting on somebody else to finish, things that have already been done, and then, just need one more push, just send them via email to the client. And then things that, just a record of what's been late, what's been on time, and what's our rate with that. Then here allows you to find somebody who's going to be the translator, when that is going to be due from them. So let's say that the due date was on Friday from the client. You want the translator to be done by Wednesday night, so that then you can assign a reviewer, right? So if this is Friday, this really should be Wednesday, and this should be Thursday, to make sure that by Friday, in case anything comes up, you're able to go and just submit it to the client without being late. And then you have notes. I'm going to share with you the September 2021 timesheet so we can talk about the status. You see here that these are not new clients, except for Headwaters, which is Aorta here, and Cooperation Richmond, which has been added for Joanna, and Children First. So Leelaine Comer is a new client, for so to speak. Now you'll see here that these, I don't really understand what that is. That's Becky's cup of tea. But you see here that this client is Sedek, Heather is the person. This is the rate, $18. This column was hidden here, but this is the unique ID attached to that document. This is the document name. This is how many words the document had. Rocio didn't do a great job keeping up with all of the information that needs to be filled in. My personal philosophy is that if there's ever a time when you're not going to fill something in, put dashes in there or something to let people know that, hey, there doesn't need to be a date in here. But really, realistically, there should always be a date in here. Then when it was due, then I see that she also hid when it was turned in. She did not mark any of these as when it was turned in. She only told us that these were on time and the last two were late. She told us who the translator was. She did not put any due dates from the translator. She told us who the reviewer was. Not any dates for the reviewers either until we get down here. And no notes on there. But this is how that would be used. Then the other thing that you would do once this has been delivered, you can mark the status as ready. It's ready to invoice. And then from there, you're done with it, and Becky is the person who takes care of that. Maybe not Becky, but Power and Numbers takes care of the rest. They can say, we've revised the information and we are about to do the invoice, or they can say, we've sent the invoice to the client, we're just waiting on payment. And so that is the Master's Translations Tracker and how it's meant to be used and how you shouldn't use it. like leaving things blank. Um, I'm glad that she kept up with the translation status, but I don't personally at all like having had any of these things not delivered to us via the tracker.